Hello, hello, welcome to the stream. It looks like I messed up the overlay. Give me one moment here. Aha! Okay, hopefully that's working. Welcome, everyone! Let's see who's here. We've got Boss MB Gaming, welcome! Slovakia, Smail Leba. What kind of characters do you guys get? Slovakia looks kind of like a tradesman of some sort. Maybe a blacksmith. Boss MB Gaming got like a robe and then like a sweet braid. That's pretty cool. Smail Leba's got some sort of plate armor and a fro. I like it. And I am a orc with long hair and I don't know, some spiky shoulder pad things. How's everybody doing today? Let me see what's going on in chat. Woo! Countdown time. Oh yeah, Boss MB Gaming. Thanks for making it to your first stream. There's like weird things going on with Restream lately. Like right now, I'm seeing everyone's messages doubled in Restream chat. It doesn't seem to be actually picking up the Discord like it used to. So like, I don't know. It's very frustrating. I'm going to try typing something in Discord again just to see if it works. I'm sure it's not going to. Nope. That's so lame. Anyway, how are you guys doing? How are your projects going? How any games you playing recently that are cool? I actually haven't been playing a lot of games lately. I think the last game I played was what's the golf one? The mini golf one. Walkabout mini golf with my pal. We play that in VR almost weekly together. Let me look at my other things. I always make like a little list of things to say and I never look at it. I'm actually gonna look at it this time. Ooh, I got the fiber internet now. So hopefully there will never be any internet problems ever again. Oh yeah, Slovakia, I saw the stuff that you were working on in Discord. We were trying to get some background processes for networking. Honestly, like, it might be easiest... Well, I don't know exactly what your background processes are doing, but it might be easiest to have something not Godot managing these Godot processes, like some launcher application that does it, because like Godot just really does not give you good tools for managing processes, and most other languages do. The standard libraries for Python, even Perl, what else is there? JavaScript, probably. I've never done any process management in JavaScript, but like everything else has really good process management tools. They generally give you access to like the popen stuff from the operating system. Anyway, another thing that I've been excited about lately is and I was actually working on this before stream. I usually don't like do serious hacking before stream because I worry I'm going to screw up my computer or something. But I was hacking on WebRTC stuff in Godot 4. Fales, who is a legend as far as I'm concerned, yesterday, maybe day before yesterday, posted a PR getting the WebRTC native stuff working in Godot 4, and I started porting my Nakama WebRTC add-on to Godot 4, and it doesn't work. I'm sure it's something little and stupid that I need to do to get it to work, or it could actually be a problem in the WebRTC native support that Fales is working on, and if so, then I can give him a sweet bug report. But yeah, I'm just so excited about that. It brings just Godot 4 makes it so much more real, being able to bring some more of my stuff over there. Yes, ooh, WebRTC says Slovakia. And yeah, last time we were working on SG Physics 2D stuff because I was saying I was real behind on SG Physics 2D and Godot rollback netcode add-on things. I'm still behind, but I think I'm pretty close to getting caught up. Pretty close. There have been a lot of really cool contributions to SG Physics 2D lately. I just merged something like right before coming on stream. But I think like the last 3 commits were by people not me, which is always exciting. I love when not me people contribute code. Yeah. Antonio Cano, or Kano, or however your last name is pronounced, did 2 things. BIMDAV did 1. There's another PR in the works from on Sharma here. So that is exciting. And yeah, I'm finally getting caught up on reviewing your guys' stuff. But yeah, looks like nobody has said anything else about how you guys are doing. Ooh, my character is stuck. Let me unstuck me. There we go. We might need to totally redo this overlay, guys. It's been so frustrating to me, the way that Restream has been working. I wonder if it would be better to do it as a Discord bot, you know, or something. I'm not sure. Like, I want to have Discord support because then I can control who gets to put messages on the screen, but I also want to be able to get chats from everywhere. So like maybe we could do like Restream to get the chats from everywhere but Discord, and then like direct Discord integration to get the Discord stuff. I don't know. I need to open the support ticket with Restream or something, or find the forums, or I don't know. It was working so well until now. Anyway, let's do some hacking. Let's get to it. So today we are going back to working on my VR Voxel Builder prototype. I do actually have the headset set up. Slovakia says, "What are you going to do when you have 1,000 viewers? You won't be able to see the screen." I mean, yeah, we'll have to change it then too. We'll have to. So like what a lot of streamers do is they have the characters down at the bottom. Maybe that would be good. We already have this bar at the bottom saying how to get to the Discord or whatever, and so maybe we can throw them down there like that. Yeah, so because I have the headset out and I got it set up, I'm just going to show what the game is like for a second in the headset, but I actually think I want to work on continuing to get the desktop version working better, because I'm really excited to get to multiplayer. To be honest, like working on the desktop version has been such a chore. I'm just like not motivated to do it because I just don't care that much about the desktop version, but I do care about multiplayer. So I wanna just push through, get that done, and then can start doing some cool multiplayer stuff. But yeah, let me see if I can get this to go. Yeah, give me a second. All right, get some controllers here. This controller seems to be dead. Oh, here we go. Now it's back to life. All right, and then I need to share or stream. No, don't record video. Stream to my computer, and it should appear in here. All right, looks like it's coming. It's coming. There it is. Is that looking good in OBS? Yeah, more or less. All right, so we have our palette with the icons that we created on a different stream. We can draw some blocks around. We can design our own blocks. I don't know what I'm going to make. I always make a flower, so I guess to keep with tradition, I'll make a flower. Do you guys have any ideas of like cool little voxel things I can throw together that, I don't know, get the idea across? So I always making this flower. Actually, let me do it one up. Bam. Put a little yellow center in there. And we have just created a new voxel that we can pick from here and place all around our not terribly interesting world. And I should have probably put some grass first. That would have been good. Grass it up a little bit and then put the flowers on the grass. Anyway, oh, and we have loading and saving, which we also made on stream some number of streams ago. But that's what we got. As far as like what this needs to get on App Lab, because that is now my goal, is to try and get this thing on App Lab. I guess there's like a lot of user interface things I want to make nicer, better, and the performance is pretty atrocious. Like right now it's fine because there's not that many voxels, but I need to optimize the performance. And multiplayer. That's really it. That's like all I want to get done, and then try to see if Facebook, if Meta will let me put it in the App Lab store. All right, let's do some hacking. Whew. It is nice to not have to wear both the the audio headset and the VR headset. Although I do wish I was working on the VR version right now, I gotta tell you guys. So let's take a look at what we have for the desktop version. Most of the same things. What's really missing in the desktop version is UI, which we started working on about a month ago on stream, and I worked on a little bit since then. Basically, it has the idea is we're going to put all of the same tabs that we have on the left-hand palette in VR over here, and then the pages here. And I just have one tab so far, the Tools tab, which lets us switch between the brush tool, which is what we've been using. It places a single voxel, as that is the only brush that I have. I think it would be good to have some other brushes for the final version. I don't know if it really makes sense to do shaped brushes. I guess we'll have to see, but certainly the ability to place 4 voxels, or a group of, what would that be, 3 times 3 times 3, 27 voxels, a big block of that. And then we have this shape tool, which can only do right now the shape of whatever a 3D rectangle is called. What is a 3D rectangle called? I've heard it called like a something prism. I can't remember. Can't remember the word, because it's not a cube. Because a cube has equal sides on all of its sides. So anyway, we need to make this this thing do more things. So I think next up is finishing putting in the pages here. I did start working on the color page, or no, I started working not on the color page, on the blocks page, which is gonna be interesting. We're gonna have to do some stuff with viewports, I think, because we'll want to show what the voxel looks like in 3D on top of a 2D button. So that could be cool. And then the colors tab. And once we have that, I think that's enough for me to stop working on the desktop version. Cuboid. It's a cuboid? Ooh, okay. Hey, DJ Kosher. Hey, The Clean. Welcome to the stream. What kind of characters do you guys get? DJ Kosher said, give me a character and hi. Oh, there we go. There, you look like an old man with a goatee in his pajamas. I think you're rocking some pajamas there, DJ Kosher. Ooh, and The Clean is looking serious business. It's got the Centurion helmet, orc with some kind of armor going. You guys are ready to fight. Okay, so Slovakia and Boss MB Gaming are trying to figure this out. So a 3-dimensional arthotope is also called a right rectangular prism. Okay, so right rectangular prism. I know I've heard the prism thing before, and I thought it was weird, but it stuck with me because prism. Rectangular cuboid, or rectangular parallelepiped. Parallelepiped? I am not sure. Hey, BNT Frying Pan with your Yoshi emoji. Welcome to the stream. You got a pretty good-looking guy there. Beard looks like a hoe. You're a farmer, perhaps. DJ Kosher's orange jumpsuit. Yeah, could be an orange jumpsuit. To me, it looked like pajamas. I wasn't going the prison route there. That isn't the first thing that occurred to me. All right, so let's dig in here. I have got the source builder desktop folder. We are working on the palette. I'm still calling it a palette even in desktop version. I started on the blocks page, and there really isn't much here yet. DJ Kosher is really sleepy in real life, so PJs are cool. That sounds good. I'm also quite sleepy, although in my time zone it is the morning, and I should not be this sleepy. I should be energized. It's because I didn't go to sleep terribly early. Because I was working on the WebRTC Godot 4 thing last night, I really wanted to port that add-on like last night and test it and go tell Follies everything's great. but I did not pull that off. Okay, so the blocks palette here, we have some code that I'm pretty sure I copy and pasted from the tools palette, which is why it doesn't work. And it says tool button. Let's go look at the VR blocks palette. We'll steal some code from there. The blocks palette page here. We can take kind of the loop that it sets up. And then change what the loop does, because we are going to be creating some 2D buttons rather than 3D buttons. And we have to figure out how we're going to get a viewport onto a button. I have no idea how to do that. BIMDAV just made that YouTube video tutorial showing cool stuff to do with viewports. Viewports are very cool, and there is very cool stuff you can do with it. But we're going to have to figure out some unique stuff, some of our own things here. Okay, so we're not making a palette block button. That is a 3D thing. We're making a normal button. We're adding it to blocks list. I guess we're just calling that grid container. Maybe I'll call it blocks list to match up with the 3D. I guess they're all 3D, but to match up with the VR version. It's so hard. It's so confusing talking about VR versus not VR, because like, what is that? Is that 3D? I know a lot of people say pancake versus VR. But I said that once and someone told me it was derogatory. They felt like calling the not VR version the pancake version was like insulting to the non VR version. So I've stopped saying that. The clean has removed sugar and caffeine from his diet. Grogginess disappeared. Interesting. So I have quit drinking caffeine a number of times in my life. I actually most recently didn't drink caffeine for over a year, maybe 2 years, and then it snuck back in there. But I haven't started drinking caffeinated coffee. I've just drank caffeinated tea, which has considerably less caffeine, and that has not been giving me a lot of the downsides to caffeine. But it's hard, man. Quitting caffeine, it's like it feels like you're quitting heroin or something. It feels intense, like your body hates you for like 3 weeks, and then everything's fine. Okay, what am I looking for? I wanted to look at the VR palette because I wanted to see how some of the things were named in the scene. So we have this block list. All right, blocks list. I kind of want the desktop and VR1 to be very, very similar to make maintaining them not as convoluted. So we'll rename this one blocks list. And in here, blocks list. Okay, so this should be all good. We don't have voxel library. We need a voxel library. How does this palette get a hold of the voxel library? Grabs it right here. All right. Don't need to set translation. The grid container will take care of that. This we do need. I'm a little confused what this message is. The identifier button X is not declared in the current scope. It doesn't appear to relate to this line at all, VS Code. Okay, cool. It was just a leftover thing. Button set voxel type. Yeah, so we may need to create our own kind of button thing. I'm not sure. We'll just comment out this line for now. We can get rid of this stuff. These things can go. Oh, we do need to do this button group thing in the way that this works for Godot controls, Godot normal buttons. And that's just to make it so the buttons toggle on and off. Like you have a group of them and only one of them can be pressed. There's some other stuff I need to set for that, which I guess I just deleted from the code. I'll go get it from the tools page. We need to do toggle mode true. And I think we want this min-rect thing. We want all the buttons to be a standard size. The amount of copying and pasting I'm doing here is making me think that I should make a special scene for the palette buttons. So I don't have to copy and paste this crap between all these different palette pages. Like, just make me a button that goes on the palette. Would be good. Hey 3DI, welcome to the stream. What kind of character did you get? Oh, you look like a wizard, but not like one of the serious kind of wizards. Like what's the Lord of the Rings wizard that like lives with the trees in the forest? He's the nature wizard. Actually, we'll keep that one. This stuff, it looks like I already copy and pasted that from the right place. Okay, so this should create a button for every block, and they won't look like anything special because we haven't done the viewports thing to actually render these blocks. But let's just make sure that it appears. Druid. Yeah, it could be like a druid. Oh, why aren't we getting the page? Okay, we got to do a couple more things. I was actually thinking of a very specific character, though, from Lord of the Rings, Names of the Wizards. Radagast. Radagast the Brown is a fictional character in J.R.R. Tolkien's Legendarium, a wizard and associate of Gandalf. He appears briefly in the Hobbit. Wait, what? He was portrayed by Sylvester McCoy? Okay. He was played by Doctor Who! Anyway, it's supposed to... Here we go. Here's a nice picture. He's like he's the forest wizard. Just a suggestion, would it be possible to have the menus as overlays instead of a full screen menu? Then you would be able to use the menus from the VR version. So you're thinking about the menus from in the desktop version that we're building right now, into the VR version. I like the UI in the VR version. I think is actually better than what we have in 2D that we're putting together right now. The palette on the left hand thing, and I do kind of want to stick with that in VR. Maybe make it better, make it a little easier to manipulate. But I think having a palette just feels more like I'm in there doing art. I'm channeling Bob Ross. The desktop ones are more like I do want to make them nice for desktop eventually, but they're more temporary just to get the VR version into 2D. So you're thinking taking the VR palette and like just putting it flat in the center of the screen? I mean, that's a possibility. I think the Clean maybe suggested that last time. Someone suggested it. But I want to have something that feels very desktop-y in the desktop version, which maybe I shouldn't have gone for that right now. I probably could have, as a temporary thing, just like brought the palette, stuck it on the screen, and let you hit it with some rays, do some ray casts. Still be off the side, hold control to release the mouse lock, and click on it. So you're imagining like you're holding a button and it like swings in, and then you press something on it, and then you let go and it swings out. I mean, that would be cool. That would be cool. I just want, if I'm gonna have a desktop version, I want the desktop version to feel very desktop-y. Because people who play PC games are very demanding and very loud. But yeah, those are cool ideas. And this is all just super temporary art. I think this is way too big. I think I'm gonna scrunch it down, make something more stylized rather than a gray block, and like redo the buttons to make them look nice. I just worry about anything that makes, you know how like PC gamers hate mobile ports, right? Like I'm worried about people hating a VR port, right? Like, does that make any kind of sense? Okay, so am I just like totally not understanding what you guys are saying? Because I was thinking more of a raycast thing, kind of like what you get in Elite Dangerous or DCS games when you click on the controls in the cockpit. So, are you imagining the VR palette being in 2D, or am I just like completely misunderstanding? Hey, Mr. Oswald, man, welcome to the stream. You didn't miss much. We're just getting started here. I am trying to understand this suggestion from Slovakia and Boss MB Gaming, and maybe I've got it or maybe I don't. I'm not sure. Still be off to the side. Hold control to release the mouse lock and click on it. Okay, so so are you imagining the controls are always on screen? Okay, so same control, just raycast to get it. You have to have some way to release the mouse from the mouse lock temporarily. Yeah. So I have never actually played Elite Dangerous. I own it. I bought it at some point, but I haven't actually played it. In DCS, I do not know what that is. but so the idea is so same control meaning the same control in VR, or same control meaning the same control I already have, but your thinking is it's on screen and I hold control to release the mouse lock and then click it. I gotta try Elite Dangerous finally to see how the controls there. 3DI, there are 2 modes in your application. Are the voxels in both modes the same type with different resolution? So you're thinking of the like big grid and small grid, I think. So you're like placing these bigger voxels, and then you go into this smaller voxel land where you build the voxels. Yeah, it's all of the same stuff. I just am changing the grid size when you go down, and the voxel library. So the way that this is architected is there's voxel libraries, which are like collections of voxels. The small grid has like a fixed voxel library of these shapes that we just made up. There's like 4 of them. Hopefully I'll come up with ideas for more better ones. And then on the big grid, all of the voxels in your library, aside from the one default one, which is just a cube that's the full size, you create them on the small grid. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. Yeah, I need to just try Elite Dangerous to maybe understand what you guys are trying to tell me, because I imagine it's a really good idea. I think they're saying to take the VR hand and put it in 2D as a UI element that you can click on after unlocking the mouse. Digital Combat Simulator, cool. I have not played that. Okay. So bringing the VR palette to 2D, is that better than what we have now? Ooh. I was not looking at Discord, but now I am. And there's a picture here. Okay, so here's the cockpit picture in Discord. And so I imagine you're saying you hold the control button that releases the mouse turning your actual aircraft, and then you just press the things. So in your guys' opinion, would having something that's clearly ported over from VR be acceptable to PC gamers in a desktop game? Or would it not be even noticeable that it's a thing that I just sucked over from VR? Because I do worry about people being upset that a desktop game doesn't have a like native desktop UI. You know what I mean? The Clean wants to try Elite Dangerous, but he can't disappear for a month. Yeah. Yeah, it seems really cool, but it also seems really huge and life-sucking, as you say, the Clean. People are modding Half-Life Alyx and are fine with it, so I say go for it. Well, Half-Life Alyx is a different story, because Half-Life Alyx is like an amazing game. And welcome Smoloki, welcome to the stream. What character did you get? Ooh, you got a sweet character, an orc with like a horned helmet and a beard. There'll always be people who complain about things. Yeah. I don't know, because I can like build a native UI for the desktop. Like right now what we have sucks because I just started making it. But it would save me a ton of work to just bring in the VR palette, and it would immediately look better than this, which is a plus. I mean, I'm not attached to this. This is kind of garbage right now. Bring in VR. If people don't want it, make the other one. I suppose. Yeah, it's definitely as far as ease for the developer, bringing in the palette is better. The lowest viable product would be the path of least resistance. You guys are convincing me. You guys are convincing me. Okay, so if we brought in the VR one, we would hold some key that would like swing it in, then it would release the mouse, you'd go click whatever, and then release the key and it would swing back out. Right now we have this bound to the tab key, which made sense when I added it, but I think is actually a dumb idea because the tab key is very important for keyboard accessibility. So we could do control, or we could do tilde backtick key or something like that. Let's give this a try. Oh, and the other question is, do we want to have a separate camera for the palette? Because if we're swinging the palette right in front of the camera, the FOV is going to be weird. So maybe we want to do a separate camera, which is an easy enough thing to do. I did that for the game that I made for the Godot Wild Jam number 45, the first-person shoveler game. I'm just going to open that up so I can peek at my code. Actually, I called it GWJ. Too many similar letters. Can't talk. Hey, Phil Doty! Welcome to the stream! Hey, just got in caught the last bit talking about some VR versus non-VR concern. I have many of those myself. Yeah, so... yeah, we were talking about basically I'm making both a desktop and VR version of the game. So here's the current state of the desktop one. I've been building this UI to replace the VR palette, and people were suggesting just bring the VR palette into here, which would be much easier for me to do and would look immediately nicer than this. But the reason that I had initially decided not to do that was because I was worried that PC gamers would be like, what is this VR garbage being brought into our sacred PC temple? And so I thought making a separate UI for the desktop was the right way to go. But the people on stream have like seriously convinced me. Like, we're throwing this thing away. We're bringing the VR palette in, because even if people do say that, I can build this later, right? I don't need to build it now. I can get moving much quicker by bringing in the VR palette for sure. BNT Frying Pan, welcome to the stream, says, I hate when menus are on tab and you can't change it because sometimes I hold tab while moving by habit because my sprint key in Minecraft is tab. Yeah, definitely we're getting rid of it as the tab key. I think it should always be visible and use a custom mouse cursor, a hand as you say, that appears when you press control, and then you select the option from the menu. So the palette is always there. And that's not an issue with taking up too much screen space, because it's kind of big. It's kind of big. I mean, it'd be easy enough for it to be an option that you could turn on and off. The other thing is, like, we have to make it very, very clear to users that they're supposed to be pressing some special key, but that's fine. We can put a little, like, note on the screen or something like that. think having it get bigger, swing in a little is a good idea. I mean, it draws attention to it for sure. Ooh, thank you for bringing me, anonymous bringer. I got a tough time to sing to properly implement a wide gamut of platforms, interfaces, and VR desktop is a wide leap. Yeah, I mean, it's not like... Ooh, Restream says, congratulations, you have received 100 messages today. Cool, thank you, guys. It's not that hard, like, really to build a different UI, because, like, I build UIs for games all the time, but it is annoying to maintain the two things. So yeah, let's trash this UI. Do I have a branch for this that we're working on here? We are doing it in desktop UI branch. I think I would like to keep this stuff around in some form, whether that's in a branch or maybe just like still in the code, but we don't actually use it. Because if I need to go back on this decision, it'd be nice to have this little bit of work saved somewhere. So let's commit what we just did. Small tweaks and stuff for desktop native UI. Push that stuff up. There's a name for having in-world UI. It's called diegetic UI. How long do these streams usually go for? Hey, Calito, welcome to the stream. I stream until about noon my time, because then I have to get back to work, which is about an hour and a half from now. So 2 hours total. How does the VR UI look like? You missed it, man. Yeah, I could show the VR stuff again, because it does seem like a couple of people have just gotten here. And I will do it quickly for the people who have been here since the beginning. Hey, Slacks! Welcome to the stream! I think it's been a while since you've been on, Slacks. At least not that you said anything that I saw you in chat. What kind of characters is everyone getting? Ooh, Slacks has got like the pointy sailor helmet and a mustache as an orc. And who else was new? Calito. Calito, where are you at? I don't even see you. Oh, there you are. So an orc with another kind of centurion helmet thing and some armor. Looking good, guys. You're looking good out there. All right, I'm just going to quick show the VR version again, and then we will dive back into coding. So give me a moment. Get the headset on first, and then get in here. And am I still streaming? No. Let's start streaming. Let me look through the eye hole here. Where's my mouse? There we go. So the VR UI is this palette that you hold in your left hand. And what we were doing with the non-VR UI was basically just recreating this, but the idea was it would have some nice controls that are like styled to look sane and stylish and nice in non-VR. So if we're going to say instead we are using this exact thing, which would save me just a ton of work, especially because I'm just not in the mood for working on the desktop version. We would have this like come into view. You would use the mouse and press things, or as someone else suggested, having it always be in view, but then you press something to get to it. I worry that it might be big, so maybe it could be like tiny, and then you press the button and it gets a little bigger or something like that. But I think I want to start first with having it be completely out of view and slide in. We can always add an option or experiment with the other way of doing it later. Or maybe no, let's start with having it be in view, because then we don't have to animate it. And then I think for my personal preference, I would like to have it not covering, half of the screen, and then, make it slide in and out. But yeah, if we're looking at this head on, or do we want to do it at kind of an angle? Especially the blocks, like, would kind of be nice to see it a little bit angled so you can see the top of the voxel that you're choosing. So we might angle it slightly. But yeah, I think we do probably want to put it in a different viewport and reduce the FOV so we get less, you know, the like perspective distortion that you get from a camera. So let's give that a try. Let's give that a try. Okay. If you want that to look flat, you could probably render the palette to a different buffer with an orthographic projection and then composite it as a UI element. Yeah, so I definitely think we're going to use a different camera for it, and I think we could make the other camera be orthographic, I think. I've never done that, but we could try it. Do you have a concrete vision for the end state of the project? A voxel mesh editor tool, a playful toy, a basis for some game, or are you exploring a cool concept and seeing where it takes you? So kind of all of those things. So I want to release something to App Lab. I talked about that in a previous video, that I want to try and get this on App Lab in 3 months. I don't know if that's possible, if that's realistic, but I'm going to try. I think the biggest wild card is Meta's review process. And what I'm envisioning for that particular thing, the in 3 months thing, is as an art tool with multiplayer. And that's really it. So maybe we could put like some little like fun things that you can do in your world once you're there, but nothing serious. I just kind of want to get it working. And then I think for the future, I would like to take this and use it as a level editor for some other games. VR games also, because I think that voxel worlds can make for some really interesting, some interesting things that are easier to do with gameplay, particularly around like destructible, making everything destructible, right? I have a whole bunch of ideas that involve destroying things. How about earbud headphones? Lightweight and does not collide with the VR headset trap. Yeah, I could do that. I have some right here. I have some little earbud Bluetooth things. I guess I just didn't think to get them set up. It would sound terrible though, because those sound terrible. I don't know. Good idea. I will think about it though. What if the character had real or imaginary hands? The player would look at the UI as if the UI is a watch, and then the mouse unlocked, and then the player can interact with the menu. That's interesting. I actually wasn't planning on giving the character hands even in VR for the creation part of it. Maybe hands for the like chill in the environment you just created mode, so then you can pick things up and stuff. But I was still just having the palette be the hand, so it'd be kind of interesting to have no hands in VR, but then have hands in the desktop version. But that's an interesting idea. Right now, I think we are going to do the easy thing, the easy and fast thing, so we can blow past this area. I don't think it'll take up too much screen space on the screen. Desktops are usually 16 by 9, blah, 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 take up 1/3 of the screen. Yeah, we'll see. We'll find out in just a moment, actually. So let me just go look at how I set this up in the first-person shoveler game. There's the guy with our shovel. So here is the normal camera. Okay, I guess the shovel has its own camera. So the shovel has a viewport container that takes up the whole screen. We'll probably do a similar thing here. Although we don't want the palette to move with the character, or do we want the palette to move with the character? If we want the palette to look flat, it probably should exist in a totally different universe than the player. If we want it to be more like it's in-world, we probably want it to move with the player, because then the lighting where the player is standing will also affect the palette. let's take a look in the VR game here. I want to find our player character. For the desktop version, and the palette could be attached to them the way it is in the first-person shoveler game. Let's start with that. If we do everything in like relative space, it shouldn't matter whether it's attached to the player or not. We should be able to switch between those two ways of doing it, depending on what turns out to be better. How did I... Okay, so the shovel... So I had the pivot with this stuff, and I actually put the shovel on the pivot, which I guess we need to do if we want it to face in the same direction. Okay, so on the pivot here, we will want to attach what we will call the palette viewport or something like that. Make a scene. Or hang on, I hadn't actually fully answered this question about the branches here. Okay, so we've got let me look at a diff of the changes from the main branch to this desktop branch. Oh, I did some stuff in my to-do. That kind of sucks because I want to keep that. Oh, and we refactored a whole bunch of things in the way the desktop version does its controls, which we'll also want to keep. Or wait, no, is that in this branch though? Or is that something somewhere else? Well, let's just keep that code. We'll just keep it and we won't activate it. And that's how we're going to deal with this. We can always delete it later. So inside the pivot, we will want to have something. Here we did it with just a spatial, and then put the viewport container under that. I guess that makes sense. Call this like palette viewer. Palette viewer. Oh, but it's an I'm naming in the screen where I'm supposed to be searching for the node type. So this is palette viewer. You'll put a viewport container on it. You'll put a viewport in there. And then we are going to attach the VR palette. If it's going to be used for both things, I should probably not call it the VR palette anymore and move it somewhere else, but who cares? For the moment, we are just going to use it. So where actually is it? Palette, and then the palette is this scene. Where is this scene? I guess it's right here. Okay, so let's go back to our player. Drag the palette out here. It's going to start out way down there. I think I want to move the whole palette viewer up. Did I just do something weird? Did I scale it or something? Okay, I'm real confused about why this isn't moving. So the palette itself I can drag up. In here. Or wait. We don't actually put the palette. So the way we did it in the first-person shoveler is we just put the camera on the viewport, and then we set the render layer here, and then the palette actually still lived outside of that viewport. Okay. Viewports are complicated. I always confuse myself with them. Okay, so then here we need a camera. And here we go. So the way the call mask works is we need to deselect all of these. Ooh, thank you, Anonymous Bringer. Please declare your name so I may thank you by name. If you want, you don't have to. That's cool if you want to be anonymous. I don't mind. All right, so we want it to look at the second render layer. Let's actually name these layers. Render. Rendering. Physics. Layer names. Here we go. 3D render. So this will be, I don't know, world. And this one will be palette. And then we need to put the palette on a different render layer. Oh, this is going to be a pain in the ass, actually, because we have to put the individual models on a render layer. So maybe let's not do that in the editor. Osman Pro HD. Even though I wrote my name, it didn't say it. I demand a refund. Well, thanks for subscribing on Twitch, Osman Pro HD. I really appreciate it. All right, so I think to get all of the things in the palette on the right render layer, or no, we could set all the models to this render layer, and that's cool. We just have the camera in VR will capture both render layers, and the camera on the desktop will only capture the environment layer, and the palette camera will capture the palette layer. I think that'll work that way. Okay, so this mesh instance needs to be assigned to a new render layer. Where is that? Layers, here we go. Okay, so this is going to go on layer 2. And we have all of these tabs and stuff. Blocks, palette, all of these need to go on. Or no, what are these? They're areas. Okay, so we got to go in here and assign this to the render layer. Save as we go. There's a different kind of button. So we have the palette block button. These also need to be assigned to a different render layer. Wrong thing. I want to open the scene. Mesh instance. Layers. And then there's the things that actually get added by scripts, which are going to need to also assign a render layer. So this is the button that shows like the little spinning voxel in it. And where does it actually like create that? Create voxel node. Okay. Config. Can we pass a render layer into that? That would make a lot of sense. Let's look for voxel library. When voxel library creates a voxel node, it gets this dictionary that just gets passed to the voxel type. So voxel type, we have a mesh voxel type. The mesh voxel type could take a render layer and then assign it to the mesh before it returns it, which should be safe to do here. Okay, so we'll do if config has we'll say render layer. Actually, let's go look at what that's called in here. What's the actual property? It's called layers. I think render layers. And then we'll say mesh instance layers equals config get, or I'll just do it like this, render layers. So then the palette, when it creates these buttons here, needs to modify this config. Okay, so I guess we'll say local config. We need to copy the config. We need to duplicate it. Otherwise, we'll be changing whatever the upstream object is, because dictionaries are by reference. We'll need to say, we'll copy it to local config. We'll say render layers equals, I think these are just bit masks, so 2. Because it would go 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, that whole dance. Local config. Okay, so that is at least part of the things. Hopefully, most of the things we need to do to get the palette on a different render layer. And then come back here. The palette. We'll want the palette to come up here. And probably move it out just a little bit. And, or wait, hang on. We want the, we'll put the palette back to the origin. But we want to move the palette viewer up, I think. Put that over here. And let's go look at, I know we had to do something where we like synced the camera positions in the first-person shoveler game here. I think on process, yeah, on process we just set the camera's transform to the global transform of the whatever is holding this. I think, is it the shovel? It's the shovel. And so in the context of this game, that will be the palette viewer, will be the thing that manages this. I'm going to make that into its own scene in a moment, but I'm just building it out here. So we'll say func process, and we are going to grab the camera, var camera equals camera. VS Code does this thing where it won't autocomplete until I save the scene, and it's still not doing it. Come on, VS Code. There we go. And then we need to say camera global transform equals global transform. So this will sync the camera that we're using just to look at the palette. We'll sync that with the position of the other camera. Actually, okay, hang on. I want the palette viewer and the other camera to be at the exact same position. Okay, so I guess they would both be at 0, 0, and then I would move the palette forward. Okay, so reverse of the thing I just did there. All right, and the viewport container, we need that to be the full screen. And we need it to just look at the layers we want it to look at. So where do I do that again? I guess that's on the camera. Okay, it's only looking at these layers. The palette here should already be on those layers. Why don't we see it? Why are we not actually seeing it in this viewport container? So this mesh right here is on layer 2. This camera is looking at layer 2. Am I missing a step? Have I missed a step? Definitely I'm going to want to reduce the FOV. I'll just change it to like 50 or something. it still just like seems super weird that the camera is way down here. I'm going to make this into its own scene right now. Save branches scene. That's the right button. So we are in Builder, Desktop. Should I put it in the palette folder? I'm going to say no. That's holding all of the other stuff we made. So now let's go just to this scene itself. And now, because we're no longer changing the position to match the other camera in that other scene, we're in its own scene. Do we see it? We don't. Oh, okay, we got to set a size for the viewport. 1920 by 1080. Haha! All right. Rendering, render target. We need to V-flip. We don't want to disable 3D. Where's the thing where I tell it that it is 3D? There's like a mode or something. Bug draw, clear mode, update mode. What the heck? See, disable 3D, but there's like, okay. If true, the usage. I want usage. Where's usage? Usage, 3D. Whew. Okay, I was already on it. Cool. So now, let's bring the palette closer to the camera so we can get kind of the view we want. Pull you in here. Look at the viewport camera, which has lost it again. Did I bring it too close? So this viewport is seeing it. Why is my viewport container not showing it? What am I? I'm like missing some step here. Do I have to mark it as like current for this viewport? No. Okay, let's go back. Let's go back here and see what I could be missing. So we have a viewport container. Stretch is on. I guess that's good. We should probably turn that on. Stretch. Mouse filter ignore. We also want that. Maybe, maybe not. These are all control things. Okay, so there's nothing interesting there. Viewport. We set a size. Transparent background on. Handle input locally off. Transparent background. Handle input locally off. We set some MSAA. We'll probably want to set some MSAA here as well. Okay, yeah, so this one did set it to current, which we just turned on here as well. Or no. Current for this viewport. Unless that makes it current for the main viewport. Haha, there we go! Okay. We have a palette, which is, the textures are upside down. Not sure why that is. It could just be like the way that it's rendering with the shader when the, what's the word? The UVs, when the UVs aren't set, because it sets them in code after the game starts. So, palette viewer, let's bring this closer. Then we're going to move it just a little bit to the left. Oh, that's like right on the edge. That's too far because we put things off the edge, but It's funny how I got it right there. Okay, so let's give this a shot. It should just be there. It is there! It looks totally wrong. Why does it look totally wrong? Go look in here. See. The palette, I guess, is what I'm curious about. Of course, we can't actually see. It'd be so cool if we could see in the editor. Isn't there a way, though, actually, to see in the editor? Like, can I see this scene but live? Is there a button for that? Overrides the project's running camera with the editor viewport camera. That's like the reverse of what I want. I would love to see like this scene tree but shown in the editor. Yeah, and I definitely think we need to do the mouse ignore thing that was here. Filter ignore. Because it's not getting my Alright, so we have an orange smudge. The palette might just be backwards. Let's go look at the palette scene. It has the positive Y is forward. Okay, so let's go look in the palette viewer and which side of the palette is pointed towards the camera. Positive Y is pointed towards the camera, so it's not backwards. We could have forgotten to get more things on the right layer. So Unity can do that. Osman Pro HD can show the scene inside the editor, because that would be really awesome. I guess like we could make our own debug camera mode in the game that would let us look around, which would be almost as helpful, but not all the way. Not all the way as helpful. So this back button, which we cannot see presently, let's go to it. Oh, it's just a palette button. Palette button has a mesh instance with the layers set to 2. We should, oh, but it won't show unless we're in a particular mode. Okay, so what's something we know will show for sure? The palette creates these page scenes and these tab buttons. These are palette buttons, which again should have the right render flag set. This is a good thing actually to look at in like the remote section of the editor here. We can go see what the layers are. So our palette has this mesh instance, which is the only thing we're seeing right now. And it has layers 2. Our back button, which is invisible. Wait, why don't we see any tabs or pages? Oh, there's a setup function that we need to call. It's called automatically in the VR mode, but we need to call it. Okay, let's do this. So it's desktop, builder manager desktop. It calls desktop palette setup palette. We need to call setup palette on the other thing. So let's see, how does this look? Desktop, builder manager desktop scene. So we don't care about this palette. The player kind of owns the palette, at least the way that we have it structured right now. That doesn't necessarily make the most sense. We maybe would want to put the palette viewer as a complete separate thing. and then just, keep it in one spot as opposed to, having it follow the player around. But for now, this is the way it is. So the player is going to need to give us access to that palette. Say on ready var palette. Palette. And that's here, I think. So then from our builder manager desktop, we've created the desktop player. Then we need to say desktop player setup palette. And I forget not desktop player palette setup palette. And I forget the arguments for that method. Well, let us jump there. No. Our palette GD. It wants the builder manager. And that's it. Hopefully it doesn't do anything VR specific. I do not recall if it does or not. So that's just self. Okay. Take 2. Hey, we have a palette that looks so totally wrong. Oh, you know what it is? We need to turn off layer 2 on the main camera. So the player's main camera, we need to just remove layer 2. Because it was rendering it in both cameras. There we go, and it's upside down. Should I have not done that V-flip? Go to the palette viewer. On the viewport, I told it to do V-flip. Let's turn that off. Hey, there's a palette. It's oddly in the center of the screen. And the lighting follows us around, which again, I don't know if that's desirable or not. The skewing, like the perspective change there is a little weird. Okay, so why isn't it over to the side like this? Why aren't we seeing it like that? We have this script that is setting the camera global transform to be the transform of the viewer. Oh, okay. So it's moving the camera to this. What we actually want. Or no, that does seem like what we want, isn't it? Oh, so Vakia got it before me. It's showing in both viewports? You're totally right, man. I gotta look at chat more. Okay, so we're moving the camera to be the same position as the palette viewport, which should be fine, right? Because this is, wait, no. Okay, let's make that be 0, 0. Now it's in the center. Okay, cool. That's why. So we need to move this palette over. Too far. Okay, so I think this should put it off to the side. Because the camera is going to be the same position as this, and this is 0, 0, and it's the palette that's moved. So let's try it. Hey, there it is! With a really weird angle. Maybe we tilt it a little bit this way? Like, one option is we could make it be an orthographic projection. Like, let's just try that for a second and see what happens. So that's orthographic. Let's give it a shot. Bam. But there's no way to tell if a button is pressed. Because we see the buttons go in and out, right? Like, that's how we know that a button is pressed. So unless we change the way that works, it probably needs to be a perspective camera. We just want to rotate this maybe a little bit this way and a little bit down. Let's try that. What's the button to line these things up? I'm on like that complete opposite side that I want to be. Take the palette and we'll just rotate it ever so slightly. This way. I'm pressing the wrong thing. I want the rotation gizmo. Okay, this way and down just a tiny bit. Okay, I should have turned it a little further because this just looks wrong. And why is the color on the color button like so strange? Chat is smart, including me. You are right, Osman Pro HD. We could add a little highlight to press buttons. Yes, we could. Or we could change the color of the button being pressed. Yeah, I mean, those are, I guess, different ways of saying the same thing. Yeah, and I don't know how I feel about the palette actually changing with the light. Like in an FPS, you definitely want the weapon you're holding or whatever to be affected by the same light as the player. But this is a little weird. But yeah, I think we definitely need to get this in the right location first. That's first things first. Assuming we're sticking with the perspective. So that needs to be turned more. I'm feeling less good about the X rotation that I added. So let's just kill that. I want to turn this more and maybe move it a little bit closer to the camera. Okay, too close to the camera, or maybe I just got to move it to the right a little bit. See how that looks in the real thing. I do not like it. I do not like it. So first of all, there's a couple of things here. The viewport appears to be super low resolution. Like, why does it look... viewport, I thought I made you be 1920 by 1080. Hey, okay, well that's immediately a little bit better, but still terrible. Maybe try decreasing the reflectiveness or something. The lighting on the palette seems to be excessive. Yeah, it is definitely, the lighting is not quite right. You can give it its own world with a different sky. Yeah, that's also an option. Let's give it its own world. Let's see what we can make happen there. That's in viewport, I think, right? Own world. And if it gets an empty world, does it just get the default? I'm not sure what that does. Or does it make it black? It's a world of no light. New world with its own environment with an ambient color of white. So this should be as generic as it gets, right? No, we're still not seeing it. Do we need to do it in the fallback environment? No. What am I doing wrong with environments? Okay, let's step away from the environments for a second. Just clear this, clear this. So I want to try, I don't know why this MSAA is like not good enough. Because I'm seeing like a lot of aliasing. Maybe I just need to make the thing be higher resolution. Oh, that actually looks way better. The aliasing is way better. But still, like this is no good. Like the fact that the when you're standing in certain positions, I can't tell if the button is pressed or not, like right here, because the light is just from the wrong area. The palette is not in the world? Oh, good point. Okay, so how do I put the palette into its world without putting the palette in the viewport? Or do I just put the palette in the viewport? Is that what I do? Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to save this, commit some stuff, and then I'm gonna mess with that, because I feel like we're either really close to where it needs to be, or we need to tear this thing apart, but I just don't want to lose my work. So we'll add source, we'll add, why did that not work? Did I mistype something? Yes, I did. So say started putting the VR palette into the desktop universe. Okay. And then let me grab the palette and throw it in here. And then we will try making it its own world again. Own world. New world. Environment. New environment. With some ambient light that we can actually see. And it crashed. Oh, because I moved that node. I need to go to the player GD. Palette. See what's going on in chat. Actually might be able to set its worldview code too. The thing is, can I set the world for all of the nodes? Because it's not just one thing, it's not just one mesh, like it's a whole bunch of different things. I'm not sure how that works, how the different worlds chain. No, I'm still not seeing it here. Well, even not putting in its own world, there's still a lot of things that we can do, right? Because the camera will let me like turn off whether it gets light from the scene lights and stuff, I think. So let me clear this, get rid of the own world. I guess reset that thing I just changed in here. Palette viewer, palette, and it never does the right thing for me there. Try palette. Hey, the buddy Adrian, welcome to the stream. We are playing around with trying to get the palette from the VR version of the game to appear in the desktop version of the game and look nice, I guess. And so this is what we have so far. It currently does not look very nice. And I just like, what is going on with the texture on the color button? It just looks so weird. All right, I'm gonna mess with the camera here. So I could decrease the FOV even further. That might have even actually taken it out of the camera. Yep. And that just gets us a closer view. Okay, I'm not messing with the FOV right now. Or we can set the environment here as well. What happens if I just put like a new blank environment on the camera? Right, so it's black because there's no ambient color. Sky contribution is 1. There's some way to turn off like the scene lights, right? Man, I don't mess with this stuff super often. Okay, so another option is we just don't move it. But this environment is at least acting the way that I'm expecting it to act. I'm gonna have to read up on doing our own worlds here. Godot. We'll say world environment. Or actually, what world environment? Default environment for the entire scene. That's not really what I want to look at, is it? Let me go to viewport. What if I set sky contribution to 0? The thing is, I want all sky contribution, I think, right? Because I don't want the scene lights to affect it. I just want the ambient color. But I could try that. I could try setting sky color or sky contribution to 0. Okay, so own world. That says everything pertaining to a world. Its own physics, its own environment, fallback environment. Space, that's a physics thing, I think. Scenario, I have no idea what that's referring to. The world's visual scenario. Update worlds. World. So they don't share what they draw with other viewports. Worst case, you could just write a custom shader for the palette that just samples the albedo texture and ignores the lights and shadow maps, right? I mean, yes. Yes. There is some way to do this, though, isn't there? So say like mesh ignore lighting. How are we doing on time? Oof. We have a half hour left. Just the lighting chapter. This is actually the wrong version, isn't it? It says, oh, this is something crazy. Hooey hoo. Oh, this is about the world environment node. That's not really what I want. Environment. So I should be able to set this. Well, yeah, okay, so I didn't set a sky. I just set a clear color. So that means we have no sky. Okay, so another option is we just put this somewhere in the scene with its own lights. Far away from the... Well, no, because there's no far away from... We're using like a single directional light. which actually shouldn't be pointing at an angle like it is, and it just shouldn't be. Where is the light? Directional light. I don't know why I made it point this way, but it really just should point down, I think. So y should be 180, x should be 0. Nope, not 0. X should be negative 90, yes. Still surprised that that changes so much depending on which direction I'm pointing. I think that's the only light in the scene. Oh, is this the VR scene and I need to be in the desktop scene or something like that? No. This is turning out to be quite a bit more complicated and annoying than I was hoping it would be, just throwing the VR palette into the desktop version. So we have VR main, which has the same weird light. Desktop. Okay, so I was in VR main instead of desktop main. Okay, so this light, 180, negative 90. Still, like, it changes a lot depending on the direction I'm pointing. Which is really surprising. So this makes sense that it would change when I'm looking down. I don't think I want it to, though. I don't think I want it to. Let's... I had this thought about what if, because we're like manually setting the camera position, what if we didn't take like the camera's X or Z or whatever rotation into account and just always kept it pointing in the same place? Hang on. So this directional light has layers. Render layers, this visual instance is drawn on. This object will only be visible for cameras who call mask. Does that even do anything? Because if it's only on layer 1, should we just not be seeing it? That seems... Maybe that just doesn't count for lights? Ooh, here we have a cull mask here. Ooh, okay. So what if we go like this? Hey! It doesn't look good, but we at least are no longer using that light. And then what if we put our own light for it that's specifically geared to make the palette look nice? So let's go to our palette viewer. Yeah, I could just not rotate the camera. Yeah, I think that would work, but I'm liking this plan. I'm liking where this plan is going. So then I would put here a directional light. Put it right under the palette, except here we're going to go set the cull mask to only 2. Let me clear all these out. Are there more? No, just 20. Should be 32, right? But it's just 20. And we want to make it so that you can see the edges of the buttons, which of course I can't see in here because the buttons are added dynamically. Ah, moved the wrong thing. which, okay, so it's here. I want the left edge of the buttons to be a little bit dark. So that means I would point the light this way, right? And I want the top edge to be a little bit bright. So that means I would point it down a little bit this way. And let's see what that looks like. Well, it did make the left edge a little bit dark. And this one, it's just really hard to see that that button is out, you know? Can I change the projection matrix to make it just a little bit less perspective-y? Progress, says Osman HD. I concur. Progress. Yeah, so either this, what if I set the ambient light to black again? What will that do? Well, it's a little too much. Let's set the ambient light to white, but let's turn down sky contribution. Should make the difference in the light be a little bit starker, I hope. Not really. Okay, maybe that's not actually sky that I'm thinking about. Maybe that's energy. Sky contribution is at 0. Yep, looks exactly the same. Okay, so I think energy is what I really want here. Just want to make the kind of like shadow that appears on here a little bit darker. That is too much. Yeah, if only we could make it just be way more obvious that those buttons are sticking out in some way. What is this? What does this do? I'm just gonna hit it and see what happens. Whoa! Okay, so perspective. What were the options that I got on here? Frustum, offset. Maybe I should actually set the FOV back up. What's the FOV on the main camera? V is 70. I meant the palette to see more of the undersides of the button. Oh. Rotate it on the X-axis. Yeah. That is a possibility. Yeah, let me just check this. So this is an FOV of 70. You have an FOV and the other one of 50. Let's try the cleans idea of rotating this just a little bit on the X-axis. I think we should be able to kind of, no, we can't really see it here. Gotta actually play it. A little more. So we see more of the bottom, and that does actually, I mean, you do kind of look at the palette at that angle, so that does kind of make sense. I worry about the block page because this, we actually need to see the top of the blocks more than we need to see the bottom of the blocks. And if this angle prevents us from seeing the top of the blocks, that's not ideal. Although maybe we could rotate them as well. There's nothing that says they need to be perfectly up and down. We could rotate the blocks a little bit forward to bias towards the top of the block. feel like the light is maybe a little bit too bright as well. That actually looks quite a bit better to me, at least. I just don't like the way the aliasing on this thing looks either. So where I turned on this MSAA, let me just turn this off again. Yeah, okay, so there we have the full effect of the aliasing. What if we just like cranked up the resolution of the viewport? It's like, why did it go back to 600? Why did it go back to this size? How many times have I changed this to 1920 by 1080? Okay, well that's already better. There's still mad aliasing. What is size override stretch? If true, the size override affects stretch as well. See what that does. I couldn't really tell. I'm not sure. Okay, let's just double this. That like really doesn't help. Okay, unless that messed it up somehow. No. Okay, we'll keep this at the 1980 by or 1920 by 1080. And we'll mess around again with MSAA. What if we try FXAA? It usually looks terrible. Okay, never mind. It also makes the viewport black. Try the Android. The lighter version of the MSAA. No. So like if I crank this all the way up to 16x, the edges get smooth, but there's like this little border. I don't know if you guys can see that on the stream, but that border just looks nasty. Maybe try 8x. Yeah, it still has that border. Some of this stuff we can't do because we're doing GLES2 for the Quest. Yeah, you know what it is? It's like it can't blend the edges of this object on this viewport with the yeah. Smoloki, I think you are correct. That's basically what I was just trying to get my mind into. Okay, so we have a transparent background, but it can't blend with the transparent unless there's some option that we could maybe set. Slovakia says, I think there's a setting for that. Yeah, I mean, transparency is enabled in a number of places. I don't know. Let's Google Godot viewport blending edges. We'll go to this article, but say blending edges transparency. This could relate because glow usually involves some amount of transparency. Edges, transparency. Viewport textures have black edges. Degraded quality of rendered content in viewport. Look at this one first, though. Yeah, some edges. It has been suggested that pre-multiplied alpha is the solution workaround here, but the built-in version doesn't clamp, so when lowering the alpha of the texture, it will exceed 100% and bloom is shown. This is how pre-multiplied alpha is supposed to work. It used to blend between additive blending and mixed blending. Sprite hides at 0% alpha because of an internal optimization. Skip strong also. Okay. This seems related, but this is an old article here, or old issue. Jagged edges. Enable filter on the viewport texture in a script. Note that you need to do this at runtime rather than inspector so that it actually works. So do I have access to the viewport texture? Because I'm doing the viewport container thing. Not doing the thing where we like put a viewport texture on like a texture rect or something like that. Just gonna search in here. Filter isn't listed. What the heck? Using viewports. Every frame the viewport's texture is cleared away with the default clear color or transparent color. Transparent color to true. This can be changed. Blah, blah, blah. How did we not have this problem with the shovel in the shoveler game? Maybe under the material section of the viewport container. Okay. Let's go to the material section. I guess the canvas material. Blend mode. Pre-multiplied alpha. I heard those words earlier, or read those words earlier. I don't know if that's what we want here. It's exactly what we want. That looks beautiful. Still, like, there's weirdness going on here, because, like, what is up with the color on that one button over there, the color button? Like, what the heck is even happening? But that solved the edges issue. Good call, Smelloki. That was perfect. Perfect. I'm curious about what light only does. Oh, nope, made us go away. Okay, so the edges problem solved. Do I still need some MSAA, or what do I have turned on MSAA wise? I guess that's in the viewport. So I have it set to 4x. What does it look like with it just turned off? Probably bad, but I just... Yeah, pretty bad. Let's try turning on... For whatever reason, I like the Quest MSAA. I've used it in a number of not VR games. Nope, that doesn't look good at all. So we had it on 4x, and it looked really decent. Yeah, that looks real good. Does it improve by going to 8x? Marginally? Ooh, thanks for bringing me, kind person. Or non-person? No, everyone's a person. Thank you, kind person out in the world. So FXAA does not work with transparent backgrounds. it turns everything black. So we can't use FXAA, unfortunately. If we were looking at the viewport container and I turned on FXAA, ooh, actually, yeah, it turned everything black. For a second, I thought it was working. Then it snuck in. Okay, so we are reasonably close here. We're reasonably close. What the heck is going on with the color there is a problem. The perspective is still a little weird. I don't know if maybe I should turn it even further. It kind of sucks that I can't see it while I'm manipulating it. Yeah, I mean, the FXAA thing, like, either is a shortcoming in Godot or it's just how it works, because FXAA is screen space. So, like, if it has no color there, I guess it just doesn't know what to do if it's a transparent pixel. I don't know. It could be a Godot bug. It could be something related to the fact that FXAA is all done in screen space. Okay, so which problem are we going to solve? Let's try and solve the angle of the palette. So looking at this last, so the underside of this button and the underside of this button are pretty close. So maybe our X rotation is good, but maybe our Y rotation could be changed. Let me try rotating it a little bit further this way so that we see the edge of the buttons that are to the left side of the palette. Let's maybe say this is good enough for now. Another idea occurred to me too. What if the palette rotated a little bit as you like hovered over it? Like when you hovered over to this side came a little bit more forward, and when you hovered over to this side came a little bit more forward. That would be cool. I still don't know why this texture is such garbage over here. Let's maybe... How much time do we have? We have like 10 minutes. Okay. Let's maybe... Oh, Slovakia says leave the game open and try adjusting the values. I should try that. I do have like the scene sync thing turned on, I think. Let's make a kind of drastic change so we'll be sure that we see it. What? Press save. Well, didn't like that. Oh. Let's turn to FXAA back on by hitting undo. All right, let's... Yeah, a little sway to the palette like in the FPS. That would be kind of cool. I would kind of like that. But let's get to the actually making it do something part. Or do we even have time to dig into that? 6 minutes. So what is involved in that? We have the mouse. We have unlock it. We draw array or cast array. Let's not mess with that. That sounds like too much to do in 5 minutes to start getting into. Let's see if we can't figure out what the heck is going on with that texture. And yeah, I feel like I should probably make a branch in Git too. So if we look back, started putting VR palette into the desktop universe. Let's make a new branch. Call it desktop UI VR palette. And then let's commit the new changes we got. little tweaks. And then I'm going to go back to the desktop UI branch, and I'm going to remove that last commit from it. So now the desktop UI branch only goes up to the last changes where we were really working on a native desktop UI. And then when we go to desktop UI VR palette, that has the 2 commits that took us in this direction. I'm going to push this stuff up to GitLab. Reload all the things. Whoa. Whoa. What? Let's reload the project. Let's make sure this is, yeah, okay, everything's the way we left it. So, I don't know if you guys can really see it, but like the green and the yellow are 2 totally different parts of this texture, but for some reason the yellow is being drawn on top of the green. And like the texture for the blocks button too just looks like garbage. All the textures look like garbage. Why is that? So I think we're actually drawing the textures with a extremely simple custom shader. But it looks fine in VR. Yeah, the yellow green thing is totally bonkers. I concur. Let me poke around the viewport stuff again. Is it really just that icon, or are you doing some wacky composite shader stuff? Yeah, so the sprite is very, very simple. There isn't really a good way to view it in Godot, but I will find a way. It should be just palette PNG. Here it is. So yeah, there isn't a good way to view it in Godot, but I mean it's just pixel art. It's just plain pixel art. Ooh, which is what? What? Right now it's showing it with the yellow green thing. Did I like accidentally modify it somehow? Let's open up some editor here. I would prefer to open a sprite, but I have to launch that from Steam. I guess let's get Steam started here. And I'll maybe use the GIMP for a second. GIMP. Palette. PNG. Hello, Steam. Get out of my way. What? Whoa, I misspelled palette in the file name. That's awesome. At least I think I did. How many L's are in palette? Does anyone know? So here is the image, but in Godot, just looking at this, you could see the problem. Like you can see it. It's there. Or I can see it. You guys probably can't. So let's go look at the import settings on this. Import. Compress. Maybe not compress? Maybe let's not compress any? Ooh, that actually made things worse. Okay, maybe we go the opposite direction to make the quality better? Nope. It did have an effect on it though, for sure. Mode, video RAM. How about lossless? Let's go lossless. Hey! All right. that got rid of it here. MIP maps are good. We like those. Filters off. Fix alpha border. I have no idea what that does. Pre-multiplied alpha. Well, let's give this a try. Hey. Okay. So the yellow-green thing gone. The textures still are just really not sharp. And I'm sure it's just because like we're doing this at an angle. I wonder if we should just like do an orthographic projection and then add some more cues to the buttons to show that they're pressed or not pressed. I'm missing some things in chat here. What's going on? This is blowing my mind. I don't have filtering enabled, as in bilinear filtering. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but I did not have the normal filter thing that you enable on non-pixel art. But just for the heck of it, I'm going to turn on filtering. Makes it look worse here, but how does it make it look in this? Even much worser. Okay. Yeah, like fundamentally, oops. Fundamentally, it's like what's happening is it's not aliasing or anti-aliasing the lines in the pixel art. Like the lines in the pixel art look super aliased, and the lines in the geometry do not. And so maybe that's a situation where if we had FXAA, maybe that would have solved all of our problems. I'm just going to try turning on FXAA, because like last time I tried it, it totally didn't work with a transparent viewport. But let's just try it. Let's just see what happens. Let's get rid of MSAA and turn on FXAA and see what we get. We get blackness. Although, like, the aliasing on the textures looks a little bit better, but also a little bit worse. Oh, jeez. An alternative would be rendering it at a higher resolution, super sampling, which would give you anti-aliasing as well. MIP map off? I definitely want the MIP map to be on, I think, don't I? You need SSA to remove aliasing in the pixel art. Will there be a way to contribute to this project? I don't know, man. Almost everything I create is open source, so you can go find the source code for like 95% of my games. This one I have not made open source, at least not yet. And I don't know. I want to put it on App Lab. And I feel like open sourcing it might be contradictory to that. I'm not sure. I may open source it in the end anyway. I've just kind of like sat on the fence for longer than usual because basically everything I make is open source. Usually under the MIT license when it's games, usually under the GNU, the GPL or the LGPL for like web dev stuff. The viewport resolution reset again? Are you serious? Why does it keep doing that? The height and width of the viewport must be set to a value greater than or equal to 2 pixels in both dimensions, otherwise 1920, 1080. What on earth is causing this? So the viewport container has stretch. If true, the viewport will be scaled to the control's size. The control size is the whole. Let's say override stretch. Let's look at this with the viewport. So this is slightly better. This is ever so slightly better. The person who suggested super sampling I mean, that would be essentially, you know, setting this overly big, but for some reason that didn't actually improve the appearance last time I did it. Yeah, this looks like literally exactly the same. I don't know if there's anything else I have to do to get super sampling to work. Mipmap could be part of the issue, actually. You could probably change the mipmap bias, but I don't know if this texture needs mipmapping at all, since it's always viewed from a fairly fixed distance. TAA is not especially straightforward unless you super sample the whole screen. Or texel anti-aliasing, that's something probably different than TAA, that's time. The T in TAA, I think, is time. Yeah, I mean, the texture, like, legitimately looks fine in VR. But let's try turning off mipmaps and see what the result of this is. Looks identical. No difference. No different. Or did I hit re-import? I might have forgotten to hit re-import. Let's try it now that I've hit that button. No, exactly the same. I'm gonna turn it back on because it looks fine in VR, and I don't want to break the VR version here. I don't know what this alpha border thing is. I'm gonna turn that off and just see what happens, if anything. Nope, looks identical. Pre-multiplied alpha, I don't know. Try it. Looks the same. Temporal. The hack way to achieve texel AA is to massively upscale your pixel art texture with nearest neighbor and then sample that texture from the game with bilinear filtering. Yeah, that's an interesting idea. So then when we enabled filtering here, it looked terrible because it was just dealing with a very small amount of data that conceivably this would be, you know, the pixels would be the right sizes and things would be smooth if it was much, much larger. But are we basically of the opinion then that it's something to do with the shader on the texture? I wish I could figure out how to make super sampling actually do something in here by clicking some buttons. Because just making the viewport be really big doesn't seem to have any effect at all. I don't know if I then need to put like a shader on the viewport or something to get the right kind of effect. Was checking the GitLab and didn't see it. I would definitely try contributing to the desktop version. It would be an excellent way for me to continue learning Godot. Pixel art at an angle just looks crappy. Yeah. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe we need to get, because honestly, like, this isn't the worst, but it is still a little weird. Like maybe here, let me save what we've got because we fixed a thing. Did it already reset the viewport size? It totally did. What is going on with this viewport size thing? It's just over and over and over again resetting itself. Yeah, I'm gonna try committing this. More tweaks. Got texture looking a little better. And then I'm just going to not put it at an angle. Let's unangle you. Let's make the camera use an orthographic projection. We'll probably have to bring the palette way closer. Oops. I guess the closeness doesn't matter. I guess I need to set the size of the orthographic camera, right? Orthographic cameras, they are weird. Okay, let's do I make it bigger or do I make it smaller? What? No, I think I make it smaller. Okay, let's bring this over. I just want to look at the clarity of the pixels. That's fine for us to look at it. Yeah. I mean, the pixels look perfect right now. How does this look with straight on but not an orthographic camera, with a perspective camera? And I also have to move the palette back again. So it appears at an angle due to the perspective, but the pixels look perfect. The pixels look perfect. The textures, no aliasing whatsoever. Maybe we just have to find the right angle, the right position for this to exist at to get the textures looking right. Anyway, I think I'm over time. I am. I gotta eat some lunch and get ready for a meeting. But let me see what I missed over here. In VR, all pixel art is at an angle. Maybe the viewport gets set to the viewport container settings. I was thinking that too. The thing is, the viewport container is set to be full rect, and the window size, what is the window size? I mean, when the game starts, the window size is, you are a genius. You are a genius, Boss MB Gaming. I bet this is totally what's happening. This is full rect. It is, the rect is the size of the window configured there. Let's, what happens if I reset? Nope, that goes to 0. I was wondering if it would reset to what the window size is or something. Yeah, okay. Did I miss anything else here? Yeah, so Boss MB Gaming, I will consider making it be open source and putting it, I mean, it is on GitLab, but making it public. I'm just not sure, because, like, I don't know. At some point, I have to make something that's commercial in nature, right? I think, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I guess Retro Tank Party is open source, and I'm selling that on Steam. But, I don't know. Anyway, thanks, everyone. This was a good stream. We didn't really accomplish a ton, but, like, you guys are right convincing me to go in this direction. I think, at least I feel that way right now. We solved a lot of interesting problems. And, yeah. Great stream. Talk to you guys in Discord and next week. Take care, everyone. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.